live. Y'all can talk. I don't really care. Just gotta be rude one time and look at Fandom D Saint's eyebrows. They're fantastic.
Of course they are. I was hoping I could put my camera on today and put like flashes of light and say my hairline is better than yours.
Yeah,
Everyone.
dare come on camera.
That would be all.
That sound like
Your
fighting words
forehead
right there,
is the
boy.
mesmerizer.
Fandom was not with the shit today. Yo, my hairline looks better than yours, bitch. Now what?
Yo.
My hairline brings all the boys to the yard. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing out there? We are live, and I hope y'all are having a fantastic Monday. Watchmen, Season 1, Episode 6, The Extraordinary Being. Man, we got another origin story this time. Hooded Justice, and what an origin story it was. We have a whole lot to talk about. So much was revealed, but before I get into that, let me introduce my co-hosts and cohorts because we are watching The Watchmen. Wu-Tang! With that, Dornish Wench, what's up? How you doing?
What's up, Realm? I'm happy to be here with you guys yet another week discussing all the tea in the show and all the tea from the PDpedia.
The TPDpedia. The TT. See, Franco wants to make his appearance, but with that, let me introduce Terrence or Tech something or other. Please say your name for me. No, what's up, Terrence? What's good, man?
What's up? It's Tech West here, back with another stream to talk about Watchmen in this very heated episode, trying not to set the world on fire. And remember, I'm the one who strung up your chief of police.
That's what's up, man. I wouldn't be admitting to crimes live on air, but, you know, to each their own. Tech West. Okay, so I don't know. I have a hard time remembering easy names. Fandom D Saint, the legendary forehead. You know, they made a kung fu flick about your forehead. And it wasn't
probably
36
made
chamber.
more money and probably got more views than your entire channel. Hey, all, Fandom D Saint here. I cannot wait to talk about this episode of Watchmen. Seriously, every single episode they keep hitting it, and hell, they better keep with this damn momentum by the time we reach the damn finale.
I guess so. Maybe just like Lost, it'll peter off into nothingness. A polar bear will come out of nowhere.
We don't talk about Lost, man.
Oh.
We don't. We just don't.
Well, my bad. But we do have the legendary Lord Commander of the King's Court, AK. Lord Commander AK, what is good? How are you doing tonight?
I have had a long Monday, man. There were some mishaps trying to get home on the bus this evening. It wasn't pretty, and now I'm here with you folks now though. So, and I've got my brew waiting to be drank. My people's here, ready to get this tea from the PDpedia because I didn't do my homework, so I did not read the articles. So I'm gonna wait for Dornish to get me hip to what's going on in the game to that. What up, chat room? And let's do this.
Yeah, I want to first off make you mad by if anybody's seen the preview for next week with the digital injection that Angela gets in the preview for next week. My Ozymandias is in the statue theory, still holding up. Maybe all that shit's just fake.
Man, we better get an Ozymandias episode because we even get an ounce of him this episode. Like this is like the first time ever we have like no Ozymandias scene. If we're not,
we had discount Ozymandias. That was enough.
I missed him. I'm not gonna lie. I missed Adrian this episode.
Fuck that guy.
I'm like, yo, can't we cut to Europa real quick at the end, real quick.
Sorry, you couldn't hear me. Anyways, I had to throw that in there really quick and get a jab in. My dog's going insane. So say hey to James Franco, everyone. All right, then. That's good. Okay, so we see the American hero story to start us off with this episode. And basically he kills a couple cops, has to pull his hood off, and he's a sexy white man, which, you know, of course he's a sexy white man, right? with this. But what do y'all think about this portrayal of American Hero story with the actual life of Will Reeves? Just in a nutshell, really quick, to start off this episode recap. And I'll go to Tech and make him, sweat it out a little bit. No pressure, man.
Hey, it's great to start off. So, instantly, I'm like, first time watching this, it didn't really hit me because I'm like, oh, well, of course they're gonna have some white guy playing Hooded Justice. They're not gonna, try and get crazy out the box, make any accusations. But then after watching the episode, that scene really starts to hit with me, and I was very upset. I can say, for the least, I was very upset because I'm like, the world will never truly know. But the first assumption to come to people's heads was, hey, let me make him a white guy, which left a bad taste in my mouth. But hey,
Whatever, just eat something else. Or what I do, I brush my teeth occasionally. Dornish.
So, Petey, my favorite guy, Petey actually felt bad about it as well. In his article, he kind of felt like, maybe we haven't seen much growth over this time that we're supposed to be in this liberal time, I guess. He's like, because I always assumed he was white. It never occurred to me that maybe he was black. I just thought of him as a white male. I thought most costume adventurers were going to be white males. And I mean, I guess I can't blame Agent Petey for that because, I assume most white males would be that, daring to pull something like costume adventuring off. But I kind of can't blame Petey for that. But
Well, you know what? Hooded Justice is being cheated on by Captain Metropolis right now with J. Edgar Hoover and possibly someone else. I can't remember. But
yeah,
it
I was
seems
like,
to be more
ew.
true than we think it is, right?
Well, in these times where male toxicity, like that machismo era, it was so prominent, and men just could not show fear, emotion. They had to live to these unrealistic expectations of what manhood truly was. I could see how so many people had to cover up their identities, who they really were, what they really felt, what they believed, the things that they liked. So, yeah, I mean, it's just a toxic time in general. Nostalgia is dangerous, not only in pill form. Nostalgia is dangerous.
So yeah, I do agree with Tech West and Dornish. Like when you like rewatch this episode, it's like knowing, and we all speculated that Will Reeves is Hooded Justice, and just to see on the show he's depicted as like a white man. And again, it's like not really surprising because when you look at a lot of like early superheroes, it's always white men, white men. Even look at the first Justice League, it's all like freaking white men. So I can see like why would they depict him as a white person, but even now I just
And a
can't wait for
Batman.
like
Don't
yeah.
forget that. And a Batman.
He's kind of pretty much like a Batman in a sense, mixing like with a Superman because hey, his parents died, he witnessed it, and because of that, it pretty much was like the catalyst of him becoming like Hooded Justice. But oh my gosh, lost my train of thought. Thanks a lot, Johnny. But oh yeah, no. Before this freaking season ends, like I can't wait to Angela, talks to William and he might have like a smart like comment or something, It's like, oh, you thought like Hooded Justice was, white or something, or wherever they have it in like the American story or something of that magnitude.
Maybe they'll put out a YouTube documentary. Okay.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. Can you tell me what the question was, please?
Well, so far, he was talking about your Subway adventure, right? So far, this American Hero story, how do you feel about it? Its portrayal. We've seen basically the difference so far is that Hooded Justice is black, but there are some really close parallels here.
Indeed.
You got any thoughts on the motivations
seems,
behind this or anything?
Well, it seems that they aren't exactly being as untruthful about some things as we thought they were. But going through the comparison, honestly, I didn't expect the whole sexuality thing to be true, but now that I see it is for that time and age, it makes a lot of damn sense that it happened the way it did. I think the way that it's being portrayed in the AHS show, they're romanticizing it a little bit more than what it actually was, I think, and therein is where the issue is, especially obviously because Hood of Justice is a black man, but we can't show black men, actually going out and fighting crime and being great back then. So they had to sub in, the white guy. It is what it is for that time period. Honestly, it's meant to make you question and think about it, and that's what we're all here doing. So they did their job.
All I kept thinking about was Lori Blake and Lori's statement of people wear masks to hide the pain.
Mm-hmm. And Will was a very angry man. Exactly.
That was one of the first things that his wife said to him, when they in the sequence was, you're really angry. You can't let any of that go, and it's consuming you, hide behind something to justify that pain. They're going through extremes to try to purge that pain out of themselves, but they're running from it in a sense. And I think it was a main theme when it came to Will Reeves.
All the shit now that she has purposely unmasked herself. She sees all the nonsense and she laughs at it and tries to make do with what she can make do. So the message coming from her is extremely fitting.
It's like that philosophy or that mantra, if I don't laugh, I'll cry. So it's better to laugh at something than sit and cry about it. So I think that's her medicine.
Shout out to Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yeah, just make fucked up jokes, but don't do what Joaquin Phoenix's Joker did though. But I do got to see that movie. I know
don't
it's
do
great.
that. Don't do that. And don't go to the Bronx and try to replicate it on those steps either.
Look, no one really
Oh
got
my
time
gosh, I can go to steps anytime, and just seeing people just fall down is ridiculous.
Yo, people is not getting to work because of that dang step scene, and it's kind of pissing people off.
People are catching pneumonia for some shoes.
Well, we'll leave that there for just a second. I mean, Angela right now, she's taking this nostalgia trip. This whole episode is nostalgia. It's in black and white. It's in a film noir setting. Also, the episode is black and white in itself, just like Angela's life, just like Will Reeves' life. That's how they saw it. There's good and there's evil. Now, Will's shit is a little more straightforward here, but with Angela, she has definitely OD'd on it. She's, let's just talk about her trip a little bit. She's in a waking coma. Her eyes are open. Lori's like, man, it's fucking freaky, yo. Like, it's really crazy what's going on with her and how we found out that nostalgia works. They put these microchips in your brain, and I guess it takes the pieces of your brain that has those memories, and you can take these pills. As we've seen, if you've seen the Peteypedia, there is a pamphlet on nostalgia. It really screws up your memories. Not screws up your memories. It can really fuck you up if you take someone else's. And also, it's just been known to make people crazy. What do you think about this trip? Not what she saw, but actually what this nostalgia does, and what are the implications for this later. And we'll just go through everything that Angela went through in this episode, since it was a small piece.
Not gonna lie, I would take a nostalgia pill of someone else's. Like, maybe just one. I won't, go Angela style and just, dog down the whole
You gotta
bottle.
at least try one.
Exactly.
Just one.
Just one.
Think about it. That's somebody else's memories. You could take, I don't know, let's say some famous artist left behind, a large nostalgia. Oh, well, yeah,
no,
that's
thanks.
a good point.
I'm good
though.
on that. You can keep that one.
That's a good point, though, because that's great for research and trying to figure out serial killer psyches and things like that, so you can better profile them and things like that. So there's ups and downs. It's too tempting not to, and clearly the effects are pretty damn strong. Psychedelic drugs, are popular. So I guess if this is a whole new wave for psychedelic drugs, man, I want to live somebody else's memory. So I'll buy your nostalgia off of you.
Like, oh, you did some LSD in the 60s? Let me get that memory, yeah. As long as it's a good trip. You'll take the good trip, right? And then you know it's a good trip.
It's
I don't know
literally
what I'm talking
Total
about.
Recall in pill form. That's
Yes.
exactly
Let's
what this is. And that
Let's
shit is
just
so
go over some of
damn
these
potent.
side effects, though. Y'all want to hear the side effects?
Hold on really quick. We are not condoning that you do drugs on this channel, okay? Just have to throw that out there.
Hold on.
We're
Proper
just-
public service announcement. We here at House of the Conqueror channel with the Watchmen panel, we do not condone any use of psychedelic drugs, any drugs of any kind.
Meditate, don't medicate children.
And I know
Yeah.
Johnny has put this channel on not safe for kids and whatnot with YouTube,
Yeah, so if you're a child
changing
and you're
laws
watching
and stuff.
this, then
So
that's
on
you.
your child. That's on your child.
And
That's
drugs
on
are
your
bad. I'm
parenting
sorry.
skills. Drugs are bad, okay?
Yeah.
All right, so here's some of the side effects, because I love reading side effects when it comes to pharmaceuticals. The most common side effects were mild cases of fever, chills, nausea, hives, sweaty palms, dehydration, halitosis, anal leakage, insomnia, sleepwalking, and deja vu.
It was good because I don't hear no diarrhea, but then you said anal bleeding, and I'm like, nah, I'm done.
Anal
And halitosis.
Did you say
What the
anal
fuck about it
bleaching?
causes halitosis?
I said bleeding. I
Halitosis.
didn't see no bleaching.
Oh,
man.
bleeding. I thought, I was like,
Bleaching,
with
anal
this
bleaching.
episode, Captain Metropolis would definitely want to take those. Like,
Anal bleaching.
just-
Why, I could sure use that. Um, and overdosing on nostalgia might trigger one or some of all the following: cardiac arrest, respiratory distress, sleeping sickness, catatonia, psychic looping, incessant weeping, laughing, or screaming, random or irregular erections, random or irregular vaginal wetness, involuntary orgasms, explosive flatulence or diarrhea, kidney, liver, and colon failure, and a complete collapse of the autoimmune system. So is Angela literally shit in the bed here?
Yo, let me. Wow. Those side effects kind of sound like as you're going through these memories, these things start to happen to you. Like, let's say, you're having a very frisky memory. Well, damn, son, you might not be able to hold one in as this memory's going through. It's like, it's awful. You're literally, maybe it's like a metaphysical thing where as you're seeing it, you're also feeling it.
Possibly, because she was like in a coma when all this was like happening to her, right? So maybe she really just didn't experience the side effects.
I
Look,
would.
in like 3 years, they're going to be turning on the TV talking about nostalgia, and all you'll hear is, have you or any of your loved ones ever taken this and this and that? You might have a case.
Does
Call
your
us.
uncle ask you to pull his finger a little bit too much? Is it getting
Well, apparently you don't have to pull the finger. It'll just come out on its own.
No, I know, but he want to cover it up and make it a joke, right? Like, hey, pull my finger, hurry. Blah. Okay, so, incessive sharding, I would think that, never mind. I'm not going to make that joke. That is just a little too overboard. You don't even know what I'm going to say, but you can just imagine, go back and watch my stuff. What's up, aggressively relaxing? I really am digging that name, but overdosing on nostalgia is what got this show created.
That is a fucking fact.
Strong fact. Strong fact.
Like, I can't necessarily
Can't even
argue
fault
with
that. Can't even fault that. No lies detected.
You remind me of Steve York. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay. So,
Oh, our dear friend Steve.
Steve's. I think he quit. We'll see what happens. But,
Word. I was like, oh no.
What about this spot where she's blinking? She stopped in the middle of that scene at the market after, the Hood of Justice kicks the shit out of a few people, kills them. Getting shot at by the shotgun, does this massive dive. We get this 3D scene, and then Lori walks up. Her husband's walking up. He's really, really concerned. She must be in a horrible state. It seems like she can barely blink her eyes. I don't know. How would you feel, Tech? Do you have any weird dreams lately?
Well, I have a history of weird dreams, and I have a history of complete numbness thanks to Adderall. Adderall's a terrible drug. If you have ADHD, find some other way. Please don't take it. It's awful. But the sense of not being in control of your body, I think, has to be one of my biggest fears. Like, I would hate to not be able to like move a muscle, or like not be able to like, I don't know, like if blinking your eyes is like a task for you, then that's a problem. Like, that would be something that would probably drive somebody crazy. So I can see why, it's so scary that she's just swallowed all of these pills all at once. They're like, oh my God, she's probably not gonna make it. Like, Lori tells her, if she doesn't sign the paper now, she's going to die. So that was crazy.
Paper.
I mean,
Yeah,
like, the side effects of one pill is everything that Dornish read off. This chick swallowed the whole damn bottle.
Yeah, I think she's about to die of dysentery. She
Like,
might die of the dysentery.
All she could do was barely blink her eyes. Like, and even that was a chore. I don't think she was crying just from the emotional strain, but it probably hurt to move those muscles in that state that she was in.
You guys peep the lettuce falling? I know it's
Yeah.
I did see that. I was like, oh, this fucking lettuce. This shit ain't gonna let it go.
And it was romaine.
Oh,
And that's where I knew. I said, oh, okay, so this is the beginnings of the Calvary also.
I thought it was
more than one origin story here.
It looked like corn, but yeah.
Do you know what romaine lettuce looks like, young man?
I know a little bit about corn.
Hey, I eat my fruits and veggies, thank you.
Apparently not well enough.
Well, that's what's wrong with you.
How you gonna mistake corn with romaine lettuce? They're two different colors.
I love veggies, so I don't know. I have no hate for veggies. Love vegetables.
Tech's defense, it was a black and white episode, so you really can't tell,
Thank you, Fandom, because I was just about to say that it was black and white. I couldn't see that it wasn't yellow, so it looked like
you should still know the shape of
it. Was corn cob shaped lettuce.
No excuses. No excuses.
Deal with this corn cob shaped lettuce. No, okay. At the end, she wakes up. She was with Lady True. I guess we'll come to this at the end of this episode. But she goes into this psychedelic state, for lack of a better term. She is reliving Will Reed's memories. He is a new cadet that has just graduated for the New York City Police Department. I believe is he working in Brooklyn or the Bronx? Is it the Bronx?
I thought it was Harlem. I thought it was in Harlem.
He's in Harlem. He's in Manhattan, actually. He's up Upper Manhattan. That's where he's at.
Next time, snap your fingers when you're correcting me, okay? And then, and we have, in my opinion, oh my gosh, yeah, we see a little bit of these Superman parallels. He gets warned about the Cyclops from a fellow police officer. You even see here how big the racial tension is. I believe it's like the white captain is giving out all of these medals, but he has to give the medal, can't be seen giving it to the black man. And this is a full theme throughout this episode. Like I said, it's black and white. And he gets introduced to how shit works really quick. This douchebag named Fred is burning down this bakery that's, in his word, owned by this Jewish person. He takes him in and, well, I don't know. I'll let y'all go with it. But I see Fandom's forehead up there, so I'm going to let him go first.
All right, go ahead, Fandom.
He didn't talk much last
I forgot
episode.
which was the question, really.
There was no question. We're just talking about Will Reeves' life, starting in the beginning from when he was a new cadet up until he bust old Fred the asshole for
Oh
burning down that
yes.
place.
Now when we saw the eye thing, the Cyclops. I thought that when we first saw it in previous episode, it was all about the whole octopus thing, Squidward. But now it turns out that it all extended from this thing, which was interesting.
Is that what we're calling him, Squidward?
Squidward.
Yes,
He is
Squidward
now
from Earth
officially forever
32.
known as Squidward.
He was just having a rough day, and he decided to off-haul like half of New
Squidward.
York.
He got sick of SpongeBob and Patrick, and they fuck shit, and he just said, "Fuck, I'm taking everybody out." That's what it was. But let me continue with the real shit. I'm sorry. Okay, so let me jump back a little bit with the when he was getting his badge. You know, he's done with the police academy. He's a rookie now officially, and he doesn't quite understand why the white chief man passed him by after handshaking and giving badges to the other guys. But then we see that's why the other older black gentleman, why he is up on the stage, and he's the one that gives him his badge, and he seems genuinely happy to have another young black man on the force, but he does try to get him hip to the game going in. You know, he probably could have pulled him aside later, maybe gave him a little bit more in-depth instruction, but he did at least try to you know, let him know, yo, heads up, eyes open, keep your fucking head down, and don't get got, pretty much.
Well, you know, AK, the divide and conquer. So were they ever going to really let them be alone together all the time?
I mean, you never know. But I see what you're saying there. That could be a possibility. But I don't think they seem a bit too cocky to really even care that much about it. But you know, moving on, once he sees that guy, and just so blatant with his ridiculous hate, you know, straight throwing a freaking Mazel Tov, like the streets ain't even all the way clear yet. Like there's still traffic going by, my dude.
Yeah, what are you gonna do about it?
He does not care about being seen, nothing, right? He just looks at him like, what? And he continues lighting the shit and throws it and just walks off casually. Doesn't even try to run. He's just walking like he's taking a nice night stroll. And he, you know, comes up to him, stop in the name of the law, you're under arrest. And he just laughs like, oh, I think not. But he lets him take him to the precinct, and he's just sitting there being cocky as shit. And, you know, the other white cops come out and they say, you know, they go through the whole spiel like, oh, you're going to apologize to our fellow officer. So that kid knows at least he has to keep face a little bit, you know, not be so belligerent with the shit like old boy was, but it still comes around. They didn't do shit. The dude was right. He's not under arrest at all.
Yeah, and we see how much people are faking it. And it makes you wonder how many people are faking it in the current timeline that we're seeing as well. Going back, you know, just like you said, it's like, what did you say to my brother, my fellow officer? But a little bit later, they're dragging two dead black people behind the car when they're pulling up to him. Like, it's brutal shit.
Yeah, I think that was a flashback. I don't think that was actually happening right then and there. Because that was in those bodies were in color. That was just what Will was seeing.
The blood was in color. You sure he wasn't?
The way I saw it, I thought it was like
I don't know. Then
I thought it was like the nostalgia, just bleeding into like the memory.
Yeah, that was the nostalgia. That was memories from Tulsa mixing.
But they only take a certain memory with the computer chip.
You can tell
she took a whole bunch of pills, though.
Yeah. She took several of those pills, though.
Yes. Yeah, because those bodies were being dragged in Tulsa. That was a clear memory he had as a child. And I suppose when he starts feeling threatened, that he made those memories flash like immediately.
That's when his anger.
What is it? A bottle of Flintstone vitamins? Then shouldn't different memories be in different pill bottles?
Flintstone gummies.
Well, you're not meant to take all of them all at once. That's the thing.
Well, how do you know what memory you're doing though? It's like, I know you do one at a time, but it didn't seem like that many timelines converging. But I do see what you're saying. I only got to watch it one time, I see what you're saying about
you
it.
ever had memories bleed into one another though? Like where you could be
Yeah.
remembering one thing and then you're like, oh snap, matter of fact, I remember this too. And your memories can bleed into one.
Right.
Well, at
Or
Right.
the
if
That's
you
what
time,
had a
he could have had
trauma,
that flash from the trauma. Like, even during his actual, like, at the time he experienced that, he could have had that flash of trauma.
Yeah, and that's what we're saying. That's what it was. Like we were seeing that memory through Angela, seeing it through him, but then also while she's seeing that memory, she also sees something else that was triggered in his memory, and they just meshed together to make it look like those cops were dragging those bodies. They weren't right then and there. That's what it
Thanks,
was. But
Tubbs.
that shit was crazy. See, yeah, Tubbs got it.
But anyways, I've seen a fucking shit ton of movies where cops dragging bodies just like that.
Indeed. Unfortunately. Yeah,
So,
the shit was real.
that's why it didn't throw me off at all, because the other things that we see throughout the episode, they're pretty overt with what they're doing, except inside the police office. Like, I don't know, it just depends where they're at, I guess. It's weird.
You know, and it wasn't even everybody being fake also, but like the one I guess I don't know, maybe he's like the guy at the front desk. He was just afraid, and he kept telling him like, yo, I'm trying to help you, stop it. And he's like whispering that, like, just let it go home, forget about it. He wasn't trying to, you know, hurt him or threaten him. He legit was trying to help him, like, bruh, shh, stop now. But
exactly. I got that from him
happened.
too, where he was like, this is bigger than us. This goes way above our heads. Like, we can't do nothing about this.
And then what does Will do? I saw him do this to you. And he puts the damn symbol on his forehead. I'm like, oh, bruh. Like, you could see it on the man's face. He's like, man, why did you do that? Like, just go home. Just stop talking right now and go home.
He warned him. He said that's going to be a bullet if you keep acting up.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
He was trying to help.
Oh yeah. So this whole eye thing, the Cyclops thing, we got a lot of
The
uncovering
OK
here.
symbol. Good God, man.
Oh
They're
yeah,
getting
when this
overt
whole
with this,
turned,
man.
when that turned into a white supremacy thing. But
That
this,
shit,
yeah, God, that was awful. But this Cyclops thing, there's a lot that comes from it, and we actually have, thanks to the PDpedia, God bless Special Agent Dale Petey, who got us this letter from the Keens to the
AKA Lube
Crawfords,
Man.
aka Lube Man.
discount Silver Surfer.
Yes.
Yeah, if you check the PDpedia, let me turn this thing around real quick, so that way got it pulled up. That symbol we keep seeing throughout the show, and that kind of helps us with the whole Cyclops eye thing. That Cyclops eye actually comes from a story which is referenced right here in this letter written from Keene to Crawford, and he mentions the Odyssey. Yeah, the seniors. This is Keene Senior, the Crawford Senior, and he mentions the Odyssey in this letter. And he says, we are Achaeans coming from Troy, beaten off our true course by winds from every direction across the great gulf of the open sea, making for home by the wrong way on the wrong course. So to me, there's a lot that could come from this. You know, former readers of Watchmen from the original comic can catch the reference maybe to the Black Treader, or the Black Freighter, sorry, where you know he's gets blown completely far from his home. But the reference is actually clearly made to the Odyssey. And in the Odyssey, there's a part where Odysseus stabs a Cyclops in the eye. That's the whole story of him hiding underneath the sheep and then, you know, getting close to the Cyclops so he can stab him in the face. And, you know, he starts saying, I'm nobody, I'm nobody. When the Cyclops is like, you know, who stabbed me? Who did this to me? He replies, yeah, I'm nobody. So when the Cyclops start yelling, he's like, brothers, help me. Nobody stabbed me. Nobody hurt me. Nobody has blinded me. So his brothers are like, what are you talking about? And they go back to sleep. So there's a lot of symbolism hidden in here from this giant Cyclops being like, you know, the clan, because the clan 7K, the clan spanning far. I mean, they've gotten into New York, and you know, there's a faction down here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So there's a lot going on. And then, you have this one person, this one man who's going to bring down the Cyclops by stabbing them in the eye, which is kind of like what Will does in this episode. So there's a lot of symbolism about the whole Cyclops and the whole eye thing.
He shoots a
You
lot of
know,
them in the third eye.
there's another part of that. The second part of that story is once they do get away from the Cyclops and they're back on the boat, he gets cocky and he starts yelling out, you know, you want to know who beat you? And he tells the Cyclops his name. Bro, you have to cross a whole ass ocean to get home. Who runs the ocean? Poseidon. Who are Poseidon's kids? The fucking Cyclops.
Well,
So now you have a literal god coming after you because you couldn't just keep your head down for a little bit longer and keep your mouth shut. And what happened to Will? He let his anger overtake him and he couldn't back away. He couldn't, try to stay safe like he was warned. And what happened?
Yeah, not to mention the fact that this story describes the entire Trojan War, which is kind of similar to what's happened here in Tulsa. Like the whole reason the whole 1921 race massacre of Tulsa happened in the first place was that the Klan's excuse was
Helen
they
of
were
Troy.
making, the whole Helen of Troy thing. They make a whole excuse here that this white woman was assaulted by this black guy in an elevator, which he got away. Like they held a trial for him and he got away because he didn't do anything. He simply tripped going into the elevator and the elevator lady was like, yeah, no, he didn't do anything to me. But the Klan used it as an excuse to attack all of Tulsa, and then we get this whole massacre, kind of like how the Battle of Troy starts. This King Agamemnon, this King Agamemnon, his wife is like this beautiful lady named Helen of Troy. She's the most beautiful woman to ever exist, apparently. And then she gets kidnapped. So he's like, well, now I'm going to kill you because you stole my wife. So now we have to fight. And there's this whole war that breaks out over it. And that kind of is happening right here in Tulsa, right here, right now. This one lady is the responsible for this entire massacre. So
There's your mom told me you like mythology. Me and you need to talk because there's a whole nother stream that I could do on just Helen of Troy. But if y'all want to know any more details about that, go watch Overly Sarcastic Production Red's video where she talks about Troy, and then you'll get the mythology full story of Helen and all that shit. Don't blame Helen. There was some extra shit going down.
Yeah. The policeman, remember where the bombing happened? If you guys paid attention, it was Tartarus Acres where they were buried. Just saying.
Tartarus, for everyone who doesn't know, it's like the hell of hell. It is the worst of the worst.
The worst part of hell. There's the Elysian Fields and then there's Tartarus.
Yeah.
You want to shoot for going to the Elysian Fields. But somehow I don't think those cops or, I'm going to just call him Fat Cat because I don't remember his name. But he was clearly the boss man in charge that ran that warehouse. And he was in charge of the events that I think we're probably about to get into for our next section. And I'm pretty sure they all went straight to Tartarus and they deserved it.
Maybe. They might have. I mean, cast them into the lake of fire. Or throw them in get them anally probed by an alien. We'll see what happens here. So we see that he has lived the moment that he put Judd Crawford through, basically, in the end here. His fellow brothers in blue, the man, one of them that stood up for him in the police department that we talked about, takes him out and hangs him from a tree. Has him completely dead to rights and says the next time if he doesn't watch himself that he won't cut him down. And this is where we get the iconic hooded justice with the cut noose and the actual hood. He right after this, he witnesses a couple being brutalized and robbed by this gang of thugs, for a lack of a better term, and he decides to do something about it. This is where he decides to don his hood and become his alter ego. And, this is where he really starts to live his life as a lie even more. This is where you realize that he's been living a lie pretty much his whole life. And it starts to really unfold from here. Before I get into it too much more, I'm going to put Fandom D Saint and his forehead on the spotlight again one more time. And yeah, y'all talk about this brutalization of Will Reeves, this hate crime that was perpetrated on him. And then this ultimately leads to him becoming Hooded Justice. BBM, Fandom D Saint. Shut
The
up.
moment he was
I'll be
like
back.
walking home and the police car was going by, I was like, oh, damn, don't tell me it's about to happen. We're about to like jump him, and that, which pretty much does happen. And then as this happened, I'm like, okay, he's going to get out eventually, but how? And then it pretty much was just, threatening him. And then we pretty much, like you were saying, was seeing like the call to action, where it pretty much was like the opening scene where they question him, wait, why do you have like, the rope around your neck and such? And that's where it all spawned from, you know. Messed up, but damn, really, just really. But that's all I gotta say for this. Just damn.
It's like Lori said, people put on masks to hide their pain. Will is an extremely angry person already, and he has reason to be. We've seen his background from Tulsa. And now he's in the big city in a part of a country where he should have some more freedoms, but shit is still whack. And he just experienced an extreme big hurt. So he took everything that they used against him and forged them into weapons that he himself could then use against them. It's kind of poetic that way.
Man, like this was very, very emotionally trying for me to watch, because I mean, right now I'm doing a whole civil rights section in class right now. So of course we're going through the atrocities, Emmett Till and all that. And I remember, I think it was freshman year, I went to the Civil Rights Museum down here in Savannah, and there they had a Klan outfit. They had the whole thing right there, and you could see all the different things that went down during that time and how the Klan operated, and here just the injustice that's happening in the world. He joins the police force to be the justice, to stop all the violence and the hate, to get justice when justice, won't show up. But as soon as he joins, he's already thrown into it like, hey, there is no justice for you. No matter, what you do, there's no justice for you. And even now, he's just walking home from another day of busting crime, and he gets, almost killed, almost lynched for, being an officer and
For
doing his
caring too
job.
much.
Yeah, for caring too much, for looking into a place where something shady's definitely up. So, yeah.
It was pretty hard for me to watch. It's just anytime there's a brutalization of someone who is at a disadvantage, children, the elderly, just whoever's at a disadvantage, animals, whatever, it always bothers me when people abuse their power, they dehumanize other people, or try to strip people of their own humanity, their own identity. So it was really rough for me to watch. I got pretty emotional watching that part because it was pretty painful. But what could you say? Things like that happen all the time across history, throughout the world. It's just the sadness of the human condition. So I could kind of see why Dr. Manhattan wants to just start over with a bunch of Phillipses and Crookshanks. They're a whole lot more pleasant than human beings here on Earth. I'll tell you that much.
Facts.
More pure, more innocent, I guess you could say. Less personality and less soul It depends
But
what
we
you
know they
want,
can be
right?
taught. We know they can be taught. Look at the game warden. He's
Yeah,
got more personality. He's got more soul. He's got
that's
even more of a
right.
sense of right
You
and
don't know
wrong.
if he's got more soul. Soul is unquantifiable. Dr. Manhattan will tell you it's not real. But as far as what's happening to Will, he uses this. He's like a phoenix rising from the ashes. He has a death and a rebirth, and he kind of is able to become who he truly is under this mask after this. Like I said, he saves these people from a robbery. He becomes hooded justice. He goes into the like we talked about earlier, goes into the shop and he raids that place. I believe it's Fred's shop, the guy who originally pulled the arson off in the beginning of the episode, and he delves out his hood of justice. And this gets to the point where we have Angela kind of being stuck in between worlds. But before that, we see, like I said, we see him take on this mantle, kind of be able to live as himself through this iconic figure. This Hood of Justice is no joke. It's like a really big deal in this world. He was a really big deal with the new Minutemen. He was kind of like a co-member, and he also uh, had some interminglings with the comedian, right? Didn't he beat the living shit out of the comedian? Isn't that who beat the hell out of the comedian?
Oh yes, he did.
I
He beat
believe it
the
was.
mess out of him.
He mopped the fucking floor with that guy.
Ooh,
He
he
was
beat the
not
mess out
taking
of
the
him.
comedian shit at all.
Sure was.
Yeah, yeah. If you watch the movie or read the comics, you see the part where Hooded Justice walks in on the comedian about to assault Sally Jupiter, and he beats the living mess out of the
He
comedian.
don't
Like,
even
he
ask
don't
no
play that.
questions. He just
Yeah,
looks at Sally and looks at the comedian like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!"
He literally
Bow.
says, "You sick little freak."
yeah, he does, and he beats the mess
Fucks
out
him
of
up,
him
and I
right
mean, he
then and
deserves
there.
it. So yeah, justice.
I'm curious if like Lori finds out, will she say something like, "Oh, you beat the crap out of my father"?
Eh,
That would be a hell of a callback. I want that scene to happen now,
yeah.
just for the
That's
hell of
some
it.
deep right there. That's some. Oof.
That oh damn it! Why did you say that, BBM? Fuck.
It's
Now
a
I'm gonna be
small
mad if I
world.
don't see that.
I mean, I don't know how I would feel about that. At that point, that's the event that made her, right? And then, but also, her father brutalized her mom, but she never really had that much her respect for her burnout mother, so to speak. Would y'all consider uh, her a
It's
burnout?
it's a
Kinda.
lot of baggage that had to be unpacked between that. She definitely has some mommy issues. I mean, honestly, rightfully so. If you know the original Silk Spectra's demeanor and how she was once she got Lori to take on the mantle, there's a lot of baggage to unpack there. So I can absolutely see why now she would be Lori Blake versus using her mom's last name like she used to. It makes sense.
Yeah, when I think of Silk Spectre, I really think about women like Marilyn Monroe back in those days and the
Yeah.
things that they were subjected to in terms of
Happy
men. Like
birthday, Mr.
it wasn't
President.
it wasn't good enough for Marilyn to be Norma Jean. And as Norma Jean, she was a beautiful young woman, but once she got to Hollywood, it wasn't enough. She needed a nose job. She needed, an eye lift. She needed her hair to be
Those
platinum.
crystal
She
meth
had to
cigarettes.
she had yeah, like it wasn't enough. Who she was wasn't enough. And Norma's childhood was filled with uh home to home. She was a foster care child. She was violated in many of these homes. She just had a lot of issues with men, and she would get out of one marriage right into the other. She married different types of men, like she went from an author, what's his name, who wrote what's his name? I think he wrote Death
Hollis
of a
Mason?
Salesman.
Oh no,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, totally. She dated Hollis Mason. No, but
oh
and
fuck.
she dated Joe DiMaggio. She dated many different kinds of
Yeah.
men. That reminds me of Sally Jupiter. I really think that Marilyn Monroe was Alan Moore's inspiration, because Marilyn was always seen as ditzy. She wasn't seen as deep. She was supposed to just be fun and lighthearted, and the gentlemen prefer blondes
She's
personality.
definitely
She was
killed by
not
the
allowed to
CIA.
feel. And
That's a very
her
good
connections to
comparison.
Kennedy. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
she was not allowed to be her own woman. She was meant to be an object of desire, and that was it. That's what she was reduced to. That is the story of many women in Hollywood at that time. That's Sally Jupiter's story,
Can I
and that's what I
say?
think of.
Oh, oh yeah.
No,
Well, Bravosi Broadcast, aka Lemonhead, aka Avalon Priestess, says Arthur Miller. That's the name you're looking for.
yes, it is. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Ravosi.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Aaron.
Speaking of artists of this time, I think it can't be unsaid. The artistry in this show, the music predominantly throughout this episode, especially that "I don't want to set the world on fire" part, comes from this famous all-black singing group by the name of the Ink Blots, which catch the reference to Rorschach. Yes, they are called the Ink Blots. It's crazy. I caught that instantly. If anybody's a fan of the Fallout games, I believe that's where most people would know it from, would be the Fallout games or BioShock. It's one of the two nostalgic games. But they play this song of "I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire," which is it's a wartime song during the Great War. They were singing about how they didn't want to go and go across seas and fight this war and possibly die, that they'd rather be home, making America a better country. When they're saying "I just want to be the one you love," they're actually singing about America, not their sweetheart. And I think it was so fitting to have all these black musicians singing, and these old time classics to be playing in the background, especially the figure that follows Angela and Will throughout the episode, his mom at the piano. She's everywhere, no matter where he goes. If there's music playing, you're probably gonna see his mom at the piano. So, just the music really sets a mood here.
Yeah, I was just about to bring up his mom. That's a very, very good tie-in. Like, he never forgot that. That's like the main thing always in the background of that his memories is his mom and that piano.
That's the theme song for his life. Like DMX walk around the grocery store with the dude playing his theme song. Y'all remember that documentary? I don't know if anybody see the DMX documentary.
No, we have not, but we will watch after this.
Do you even know who DMX is? Fandom D.
Yes, I know who DMX is. If I
Well, he
need
has
to
a
hold up.
dude that follows him that plays an
You should ask
iPod
if
out
freaking
loud
Tech
with the
West
theme song.
if he knows.
Did you just? Do I know who DMX is? That's kind of.
Well, I mean, I was asking
I've never
Fandom
been in
D.
the ring with
because
someone
like, he
younger
don't know
than me.
nothing.
I had to.
Now,
I had to.
Fandom
Yeah.
trying to pull rank because he's not the youngest one on the panel no more.
Yeah, trust me, I know my oldies thanks to mom. I know my stuff. Well educated.
Yeah, give me a DMX bark. All right. No, that's I don't even remember what my point was. We got lost in DMX at this point. God dang it. What was said? No. That's some great insight about the music. I think John St. Baptiste would honestly be proud of you, Tech.
Indeed.
And that is some interesting insight. I like that. I've heard of the Ink Blots before, but I've never been able to put like a song to them. Just you hear about bands, you hear about famous people that impacted time throughout, but you don't hear about them enough. And this is probably one of the artists that you probably should hear about a little bit more. That's one thing with history, that the more I look into history, the more you find out has been just completely tampered down. And the real history is hidden. The ugly truth of it is hidden.
That's
May not
why we
want
need to get those nostalgia pills.
History is written by the victors.
I'm telling you. And, I don't know. I can't really speak on it too much. But his home life, like I was going back to, Will live in that lie. We see Captain Metropolis come in after Will gets he gets popular. He's in the papers. He's got a goal, a plan. He's trying to stamp out, freaking the KKK at this point. But he's lying to himself. He's lying to his wife, who we find out that is the little baby that he found wrapped in the American flag after the accident from Tulsa 21. And he has really just kind of even lied about his sexuality to himself at this point. We see that Captain Metropolis is clearly interested in him, wants him to be a part of the new Minutemen, and this is where we see where it's assembled. But it's not that simple. It's not that simple. Yeah, I'll stop there because that's a lot to unload. Go ahead, AK.
All right. First off, thanks for coming through. Rod, damn it, appreciate it. I don't think that he was necessarily hiding it from her. Maybe trying to keep himself in check, I would say, because from what we saw, or at least from what I saw, how I read her character, she's a very intuitive woman. I think she knew exactly what the deal was, but like I was, saying in the chat earlier, when you are in the life, even nowadays, LGBTQ, everyone isn't in a place where they can be open. Some of us still have to hide. Think about how much more you had to hide back then. And she knew him since they were children, literally since she was a baby. I think she already clocked who he was, but she loved and cared about him enough to where she was fine being his beard. And you can see exactly how astute she is. Like, she's a journalist, so she's used to looking for the truth.
You think they tested these waters already, AK? I hear some fanfic coming.
Oh, damn it, what? Stop it right now, T-Baby Jr. You stop with the fanfic storylines right now. But, when Metropolis comes in and, he tries to play that, that suave machismo wisdom. Oh, I was wondering if I could speak in private with your husband about some business. She straight up laughs at this man like, oh, you got business. Okay. And she sits right down at the dinner table, right where they're going to sit. So already, I think she knew some random fuck shit was flying. She already clocked him as soon as he walked in the door, and she was not about to let Will get caught up if she could help it. And as we went through the conversation, he said, there's someone that wants to work with you, or if you could put us in contact with Hooded Justice. And again, she laughs and she was like, "Oh, you mean you? Does he have a nice suit? Is it a blonde? Does he look kind of like you when you look in the mirror?" Clocked them already. There were no lies to be told that she wasn't going to detect in that moment. And we see later that's when we find out that the love scene that we saw in the AHS story was actually true. And she even
down
tries
to
to
the thrusting motion and the pacing.
Okay, yes, I wasn't gonna go there, but yeah, okay, it happened. But a little bit later on, right in there, when her and Will are talking and they're laying in bed, and she, clearly his mind is elsewhere. He has a whole lot of stuff he's trying to work through, and it's like just more and more things being piled onto his plate that he is really trying to decipher and fit into an appropriate place in his head. And she just looks at him like, what is it? Is it the blonde guy? So again, she already knows. I think maybe for in his head, he was hiding, but for her, no, I honestly think she knew, but she was still willing to try to help him. She didn't think it was a good idea for him to join the Minutemen or even to put on the mask in general, but we saw, she's the one that came up with putting the white paint around his eyes. So, that's the only part of his skin that showed was the skin around his eyes. And she made a good point doing it.
And interestingly enough, we see with Angela, it's that black, line
And I love
she
that
does
parallel.
on her costume.
Yeah,
Can
I love
say,
that
That
parallel.
was an awesome moment.
Really quick though, I meant him living a lie to the entire world. I know at that point in time, all people of color that were minorities had to kind of live somewhat of a lie. She was the only person that knew who he truly was and accepted him, even down to his rage. But everywhere else, he was, a quiet, very respectable, he couldn't show that rage.
Exactly. But she could see he didn't even want to accept that he had that rage. Again, she called him on it from the very jump. And after, he got into that fight, after he saved those two first people, he came back home like, okay, yeah, you're right. I'm angry. And from there is, where we get the costume. And then he ends up joining the group and he starts sleeping with Discount Osmandius. And that's just, how it goes.
He got his muffler done. Oh, he did, though.
And, you could put it that way. You could put it that way. But more and more, I think he sees, even though he is in this group and he thinks that they're actually going to work with him and help him, that's not really the case. It's just someone else that wants to use him, pretty much. And you saw when him and Discount Osmandius, I can't remember his name. Don't care to remember his name.
Captain Metropolis. Just call him metrosexual.
Discount Osmandius. When they're together,
metrosexual.
He comes out with the mask. Like, okay, so how about we try this time? I'll wear my mask and you wear yours. He's basically just using Will as a fantasy toy. That's all he really wants. Will tries to talk to him later about following up on some new things that he's found, and he's like, no, we can't get into that. We can't do that.
Black unrest is your problem.
Right, but if you want to come over still, I would love to see you. So again,
you ever had a boyfriend that was or a girlfriend that was ashamed of you? That's totally what's going on right there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Was Will Marilyn Monroe in this situation then?
Wait, what happened?
Was Will Marilyn Monroe in this situation?
Johnny happened. That's what just happened.
I can't.
No, but Tubbs brings up this thing too. Like, we can talk about this with him living the lie. Like, he let his son see him do this. Put on his hood of justice gear, put on his makeup. Like, he didn't even have a different room. He didn't put no curtains around him. And then he wants to go and get mad at his son for putting it on. Which, how can you blame a child for wanting to be like their father?
Before that moment, he was a cool hooded justice, but it was after that event, he was like, nah, I don't want you to, be me.
Yeah, don't be like me. That's where that was. That was a father worried about his son taking the same steps that he didn't. That's where his issue was. He wasn't necessarily mad at his kid. But of course,
he finally saw the faults.
Protective Mama Bear came out, and that's right then and there where you really see that he has to start assessing how everything he's doing has changed him and how he's handling it, because that's the end of his marriage right there.
Mama Bear needs to eat some cornbread. That's all I got to say about that. Okay.
And that's why Angela never knew about her grandfather, because he was never in the picture.
Yeah, he was not supposed to be there. She was moving back to Tulsa. You dare not come there. Good night, Dark Mother. Big old super hearts to you.
Good night, Dark Mother. Sleep well.
No, that's a really good point. Dornish, did you kick the shit out of your son? What happened?
Is it past his bedtime? Is that what's going on?
Not even, because he doesn't have school this week. However, he didn't charge his device all the way up. So
This
he was
guy
just
so unprepared today.
so unprepared. So, how teenage of him. So there you go.
You got to get on him, because he had some good insight, and then he just gets cut off. It's okay, though.
And then he's just like, oh well.
Dornish only got...
Tell him to pull out his phone. You can type on your phone on the charger. He can still be in the chat.
Dornish got a hard, yeah, Dornish got a hard 45-minute out right here, and Phantom D Saint's about to be gone too, so we'll get on this really quick, and be on the lookout for a podcast about this coming up. Just some certain things that I want to get into. We talked about Captain Metrosexual a little bit. Okay, so basically, with the new Minutemen, it seems like they were nothing. Now, this was a problem. Moloch was just a set-up villain, it seems like. That they were just a money-making enterprise. This is capitalism run amok. It's kind of what happened with the new Minutemen, even though, they did solve some shit. But Captain Metropolis at this point had the control over Hooded Justice. So you wouldn't even think that his ideas would get to any of the other people. I mean, he tried to talk to him in front of him, but it seemed to get downplayed. And this goes back to what y'all were talking about, how Captain Metropolis was using him, which is kind of just... That's one of the most sickening things of the episode, and I've seen a lot of sickening things this episode. But how he was used by the new Minutemen, or better yet, Discount Ozymandias, was pretty rough in my opinion.
Was it rough?
It was
See,
rough.
Why? I was gonna let him just move smooth past that point, and you have to point it out.
And Dornish, no, it was rough and ready. It was rough and ready. It was ribbed for his pleasure. I don't know what happened.
I muted myself, but I'm like weak over here.
Oh my gosh. But this is when he finds out about the movie theater. We have this riot that happens at the movie theater. All these people of color are killing each other. The cops are there rounding them up, taking the people that are left alive. And there's this one woman that Will sees and starts talking to her, and she's like, I don't know what happened. They said I was violent. I just started doing stuff. I had no control. We find out what this big weapon is. Other than the teleporter, we have the mesmerizer. This makes people, puts them in a hypnotic state, is what I would say. And it makes them do whatever is suggested to them. Is being weaponized right now by the KKK in this timeline. And I guess probably in the future as well. My God, Fandom D Saint. What'd you think about the mesmerizer and this atrocity that happened at the movie theater?
The moment I heard it, I began to question it. I'm like, wow, this is literally just something out of like a comic book. And then I'm like, wait a minute. This is literally based off a comic book, so I can see it actually happening, Because before then I thought, oh, it's probably just KKK and they were just attacked the theater or whatever. And just leading up to that moment when the officer was making those comments, I'm like, really? Just really? But I did not expect, mind control to be literally a part of the show. And here we have it within this episode. Even near the end of it, we see when Will has like the flashlight. I thought it was just a regular flashlight that's light on Judd and turned out to be mind control of all things.
Yeah, so I thought when I was watching it, I thought that the whole mesmerizer thing was just like if you've seen The Kingsman, that whole little thing about calling the population that Samuel Jackson did. That's exactly what happened with the mesmerizer. And it's nuts, and he finds all these clues. And if he would have had an actual team with the Minutemen, they could have handled that stuff and the corruption could have been exposed. But no, of course, they don't really want to help the black guy with the problems going on in the black community. It doesn't matter who's causing it. It has nothing to do with them, so they're not going to go for it. But
it would be too SJW for them.
Yeah.
What? It's already too SJW for them. That's beyond. That's just to get beyond. What I'm saying. We were talking about this. The advertising for this just got people turned off to it, because if you give someone a mindset before they go into it, that's the only criticism I would give this show is Lindelof's advertising of it. Because if you give someone a mindset, they're gonna go look for that. If you're gonna see what you're looking for. Sometimes, you know what? Sometimes you'll only see what you're looking for, and that's That's what happens. Doesn't mean this is a bad show. It's not for everybody as well. It's got some hard stuff to watch. It's got some hard stuff to some hard truths to deal with, and some people aren't ready for that. I'm old as hell. I'm like 74, and I'm ready for it. You know what I mean? But what were we talking about? No, Phantom just ain't go. I see you.
I was just about to say, if you're 74, that would make so much sense looking at your hairline. Yeah.
There you go. You finally got one
yo,
hairline
what
joke
type
off.
of day did you have today, man? Fandom is with the shits today with the comebacks. Damn.
He's not doing that good. And that technically was not a comeback. See, I would have to have the comeback. But his forehead is flat earth, though. I do have to say that much. Everybody mutes on purpose.
You just gonna keep pushing, man.
Oh my God.
In a minute, and I'm gonna be here giggling the whole time.
Help me, please. Too much hot sauce. Okay, I don't even know what's happening anymore. Where are we at with this? Okay, the mesmerizer. That was a really good connect. If you're just
hold on, repeat
Repeat
everything
that.
you just said, please, because you froze.
Man, screw you guys, okay? Chrissy of Old Stones, the Battle of the Foreheads. Let me write this down because we had to figure something out, but we will do the Battle of the Foreheads, if we just play Pong off our foreheads.
Oh, my word. I don't know when it's going to happen. I just want to be involved so I can see.
Yeah, we got to have a referee.
I'm here for it.
I think it's fantastic. Thank you so much, Chrissy.
Maybe duke it out on trivia, Battle of the Foreheads, Battle of the Minds.
So we know that Lady True's probably got this mesmerizer, right? If Will's in with this, he took all of these crystals. Lady True has manufactured this and reverse engineered this for sure. So what do we think this has to do with the end game? I think it was AK that said something about just everybody going crazy. I have this wackadoo theory that it may be targeted just at white people. But that may
I don't think it will be targeted just at white folks.
That may be overboard.
I did come up with last night when I was listening to the podcast with Justin Hacks Dogma and Axel Foley last night, is if you look at the current design of what we've seen of that clock tower on the outside, I feel like that could just be a huge mesmerizer, and whatever Lady True is planning, it's going to be on an extreme grand scale of what we saw in the movie theater, because they're saying they're doing something that like nobody's going to expect, and they say it's never been done before, but I don't think they mean necessarily that like the tests haven't been done, but just that it was never successful, because Hood of Justice, he shut it down back in the day, so it never got to the fruition that they wanted to get it to. I think that's what Lady True is working on. Yeah, it's going to tell time, but it's also going to do a whole bunch of extracurricular shit too, and it's not going to be pretty.
Well, I would also say, unless you think Senator Keene and Lady True are connected, which let's not go there yet, this is New York. You can think maybe they had installations around big cities everywhere. They talked about how long they had been in the letters in the Peteypedia, how long they had been an organization. Judd inherited this through his grandfather with the Cyclops symbolism. And you could think this is not the only place that they were testing it at. Because, I will tell you this, when Will Reeves goes in there, shoots all these fools in the third eye, except the one guy, he misses the last guy and then shoots him in the head in the end. There are already diagrams on how to build these things. So this is not where they invented it. This is just them starting to distribute it and doing test runs as far as just the movie theater goes. So makes you wonder where this is coming from. Is this coming from the Nixon organization? Not Nixon, but it wasn't Roosevelt at that time. Who the hell was it? Was it Roosevelt?
Wasn't it Roosevelt?
You talking about
It
Truman?
might have been Roosevelt. It could have been from Wallace. No, Wallace wasn't in that time either. God dang it. Sorry, just I'm gonna stop misspeaking, and by the time next week, I'll know
You
a little
see,
bit more about our presidents and
it's
our
reasons like
politicians.
this we have to storm Area 51, is it right? To get these devices.
Oh goodness, yeah. Let's not bring that back. Although I do appreciate some of the small videos that were made about storming Area 51, particularly the one they did with the Avengers Endgame scene. It was pretty hilarious.
I appreciated all the memes.
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
But I found it very interesting that, you know, once we got to after we saw all the mesmerizing stuff and Will took that, you know, he just set the whole thing on fire. And I love that they showed the parallel with Tulsa and the fire burning that he saw when he was in the field and he found baby girl. And now he's taking out the trash on a grand scale for him, and he's burned up the evidence. So, and you know, no one was there. No one was there when the whole thing went down. Everything was already blazing. There's no evidence to be found. He has all of the maps where everything was. So I'm pretty sure he, you know, after wifey left, he probably sulked for a little bit, but then he got right back on the job and he went around to all those different locations and probably set some more fires. So now he's with Lady True years later, and he's got this device, and we see Judd and how he actually got Judd in that tree. I honestly thought he did actually pull him in the tree. I never thought he was for real crippled in that wheelchair. I saw that as a ruse immediately, but it's even more fitting that he used the mesmerizer to make Judd do it himself. Like that shit blew my mind. I didn't expect that at all.
That was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And as in the great words of Gary Busey, as he said to David Spade, and what was it? It wasn't Tommy Boy. No, it was in Black Sheep. I set a small fire in your mama's panties last night.
Why?
Yo, but what if like Keen and everybody knows that plan? They know what's going down. They know that doomsday clock is gonna blast people with some shit, and they're trying to like get out of Dodge and just go through a portal. They're like, nope, not gonna be here for that. Not gonna happen again.
What if Keen is being mesmerized and he's just a pawn to make everybody else look at him and see what he's doing, so Lady True can just, you know, skip through the background buying up farms and making babies and shit?
Let me poke holes in that. It seems to only work while it's flashing on you.
As far as we've seen, we don't know if there are other prototypes though. It's Lady True.
Maybe, but I've got an idea. I just got a mass theory. Keen, what do we need to cause some crazy shit? All right, Dr. Manhattan's a weapon, right? We have this teleportation device. We already know that there's shit above Mars checking out Dr. Manhattan, even if it's Lady True, but also the white power people are trying to get to Mars. There's a white race to Mars, okay? Let's get the white people to Mars.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if there's a teleportation device there,
Mars.
What if TikTok, they know what's going to happen with the clock?
Mm-hmm.
You put the teleportation device over the clock, and then it covers the all of Mars. Oh my God, I'm just making some crazy tinfoil. Anyways,
I mean, I
Dr.
kind of
Manhattan
felt
gets
that
mesmerized.
way too, though. I kind of felt that way too. Not that they're gonna mesmerize Dr. Manhattan, because I could just see him being like,
Dr. Manhattan already seen this shit coming like 30 years ago. He's not gonna get got. I don't even.
He saw Lori's breakup coming too, and then he was still surprised. I just gotta say.
I don't even think he's on Mars anymore. They're making way too many references to Mars and supposedly what he's doing. I think that's the even bigger reason to think that he's not there.
One of him is on Mars. That's all.
Maybe.
That's all I gotta say. I think maybe one of him is on Mars. I claim.
Either way.
Honestly, I have to go, but I have to make this like one comment on AK to see if the senator was like hypnotized. If they were still like hypnotized and controlled to make him do all this stuff, it's like, why can't they just do this to like Judd? And by the end of the episode, it kind of seems like he wasn't like 100% with everything.
Because Judd in this story is John Aaron. John Aaron is the puzzle piece that got taken out that started the whole story. Without Judd dying, Angela doesn't have half the reasons to do half of the things that she done or go down the paths that she did. Judd had to be taken out. I think that was part of the plan.
Now, this is my question too to everybody, and real quick to you, Fandom. Do you think Judd deserved it? Or do you think Will
From
could
that
be wrong
one-on-one
about Judd?
conversation with Will, I don't think he 100% deserved it. It seems like he still had, like, stepped his feet into, like, whatever the Senate and Lady True was doing, but it seems like he wasn't 100% with it. And I won't be surprised if Lady True ordered Will to kill him, because it still was that jump in time from, like, Will, him killing all those people in the warehouse, and then just skipping over to, like, not present day, but yeah, in 2019, where, he has that device. It's like where he got the device from. Obviously, Lady True, but, like, did he take it on his own free will or not? How did he know Judd had, his followers, like, Ku Klux Klan outfit in his, closet? It's just still some more questions.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I think it was part of the plan. They scoped it out. And I don't think Judd fully deserved it. I think he was trying to actually make moves to make things better for everyone, but he's one guy. And in that time, you really can only take so many steps. And unfortunately, sometimes they have to be small steps. And, what we found out, he said himself, that belonged to his grandfather. So, of course, he's going to keep it.
He's too charming.
I don't think he was 100%.
Nah, he's too charming.
All the way on the side. He's definitely got some shadiness to him, but I think there's more there.
We need more
information.
And keeping that KKK suit is like, you keeping your molesting grandfather's rocking chair because it's a family heirloom. Okay. I mean, seriously?
Let me answer this. This is not a KKK suit, but my father...
How many people do shit like that nowadays, though?
My father, who has passed away, that I didn't know very well, I got an old, dusty Confederate flag belt buckle that I keep. But it's not for, I guess, heritage sake. I guess it's just because it's only one of the few things I have of my dad's. But, yeah, I would say that you could... There's no justification for keeping a KKK outfit, honestly.
Exactly, there isn't. I'm sorry. If somebody in my family did something disgusting,
that's different. Yeah.
Get out of here with that. Nah, fam. I'm not keeping that. Get out of here. Nah.
Oh my God. But okay, so Chrissy of Old Stones was wondering if Judd was the other shooter in Angela's house. Now, Chrissy, I've been thinking this the whole time.
Facts. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, supposedly there were two. And the way they shot it, it seemed like they were trying to imply that he was there. But I think there's a possibility that he was there possibly to make sure she didn't actually die. Like, obviously she got hurt. He's got to...
Judd ain't nothing but Littlefinger. Judd ain't nothing but a Littlefinger.
Oh, I have to...
I don't know if he's a Littlefinger in this.
I have to make it clear that my dad
he's just more
KKK
charming.
Member.
But,
there's a lot of intrigue, and all I'm saying right now is that I need more information on the background, and that's why I want to see. Now we have Will's backstory, so we know the full connection. Now I need to see Angela's full backstory. They still haven't given us that.
No, we do not.
And I think that's going to tie in a lot of different things that we have not seen yet.
It's going to tie in with Ozymandias somehow. I don't know how, but just seeing based off the preview. And basically, she's going to find something in that Will has. Going to see an extent to what he's done. Based off the preview we have here. We have some kind of also this digital injection that we see Angela get in the preview as well. This goes back to making me think Ozymandias is still in that statue and he's in some kind of digital prison. And we could just be getting a fucking thrown sideways when we see him on Europa. Or I think it's Europa. I believe that's what Hack's Dogma said last week.
Yeah, it is Europa. Damon confirmed it.
The babies still don't make sense. The baby's in the water. the crab traps that still don't make sense yet.
I need
Next
answers.
episode is titled "An Almost Religious Awe," so I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into world building and godlike things.
That ties a lot into Angela, I think, because she is Sister Night. Part of her costume is those prayer beads that she has hanging off her waist. Where did she even come up with this as her masked identity, and why?
Ah, good point.
Yeah,
So-
I would think it's like missionaries in Vietnam, possibly would be my best guess. And then
Maybe we gotta know
somehow,
about her parents.
it mimics Hooded Justice in a way, except she paints that part of her face black.
And
instead of white.
and that's why I love that parallel. And also, so I don't forget, but if you watch, if you paid attention to Regina King's movements and during the flashback, she mimics Louis Gossett Jr.'s older Will, almost perfectly. Like when they flash to seeing him sitting in the chair, and then they flash to her, like even her facial expressions and like just like the little ticks of how she moves her head or squints her eyes. It testament to the awesome actress that she is.
That was really good.
She did a phenomenal job.
That was so good. I definitely agree with you. Just the acting in this is top notch.
You
The
better get
storytelling.
nominated for this damn freaking show, I swear. They don't
Yeah,
have to
man.
win, just get
Yeah.
nominated.
At
Just
the
get
very
Yeah,
nominated.
Matt, because it pissed me off that he didn't get anything for The Leftovers. The Leftovers was, in my opinion, is my favorite show of all
The
time.
Leftovers was good, Dornish, but it's an admittedly slow show.
Nah, it was popping. I can't help it that everybody's not on my level. All right.
Hey, you better stop insulting me. I will hang up on you right now, Dornish Wench.
The lie, you will not.
I didn't say I didn't
you're not
like
gonna
The
do.
Leftovers. I just say it can be slow. And you have to think a lot about it. Some people just want to enjoy a ride on a TV show.
I mean, you can say
I'm
that
not
about
saying that's
Mr.
me.
Robot, and Mr.
You
Robot
could say that
is
about
top
CW
five.
shows, damn it.
Man,
Yeah.
shut up. You can't say that about no
I
CW
have.
Plug
shows.
in the CW real quick.
Hey, yo, hold on real quick, just because we are close to the end, I believe. Fandom, I know you got to go real soon. You want to maybe give
I'm
your final
already
thoughts?
going. I'm like already outside.
Yeah.
I know y'all
Well,
can
let's
hear me.
everybody.
My bad. Excuse me for trying to look out for you and having your opinions given, you bastard.
We covered everything anyway.
We
Just
know,
go ahead and
I
give
love
your
you.
final thoughts. Tell everybody where they can find you. You son of a bitch.
Yes, this was a hell of a good episode. Like I said earlier, every single episode I'm saying this is like my favorite episode. It's like a favorite episode. But finally, I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to shut up. Wait till the season ends, and then I'll say it. But yeah, thank you guys for having me. Fandom D saying that's where y'all can find me. Do several reactions to several shows, including The Watchmen. Thanks again for having me, Johnny, on the channel, talking about The Watchmen with the Dornish Wench, AK, Tech West, and hopefully maybe next week we might have not Johnny B Crazy again. What the hell? Saying John Baptiste. There we go. So many Johns, damn. It's like too many cooks.
Yeah, Justin will be on next week too. So we'll have
Oh
all
yes,
the.
that's another freaking J.
We'll make
Word.
him
Yeah,
not
as
talk
well.
so much too again.
Exactly. But yes, and everyone in the live chat, always go to the replay and just like see what you guys have been saying, especially the freaking forehead wars. We need it. We need it, damn it.
Dude,
We need it.
we're doing the battle of the foreheads. Hold on just a second. I gotta think of something. Show you something that Mackenzie said because this shit is hilarious. And now I gotta find it. Oh, Mackenzie, where is that? This is. Oh, the battle of the forehead bastards.
Damn, she went all the way in.
Oh, man. It's the
I'm
best.
weak.
Oh my god.
What the hell are we gonna do with this
Well,
YouTube?
take care, everyone.
What's wrong with y'all?
Bye,
Later,
fam.
love.
Take
Have a
care,
good night.
Fandom.
Just be safe getting home.
AK, I'll let you give your final thoughts. I mean, we've kind of touched on the scene where Angela wakes up, and it's not much more than that. We find out that she's at Lady True's. Lady True has helped her with the overdose. She's had to basically purge her system and shit. So maybe Lady True's gonna hold this over her. I saved your life. Now you have to do something for me type situation. Maybe we'll see something like that. What do you think?
Again, I have questions because I get that they want to do what they can to actually save Angela, but why not have her treated in an actual hospital or someplace where Lori at least has jurisdiction? It looks like she's in Lady Chu's compound with some random thing that's shooting orange liquids into her body. Like, well, what the hell is that orange liquid, and why is that tube so big and inserted into her arm? And it also pushes into the bit of the trailer that they showed for the next episode. You know, she's walking around that compound still with the thing in her arm, and she opens this door and has this extreme look of shock on her face. What the hell's behind that damn door? You know, what else are we getting ready to have what other part of our brain is going to get blown out during the next episode?
Yeah, I definitely don't even want to theorize on that one.
Yeah. And what the hell is going on with Lori? Why did Angela get transferred to Lady Chu's compound? She could have brought her equipment to wherever they wanted her to, but she made sure that it was in a place that was under her full control, is what it seemed like to me. And what else are we really going to see from Will? Like, Will is sure that once, you know, Angela sees everything, she's going to hate him. I haven't seen him do anything yet that would really make her hate him. So
maybe it's the master plan that he.
I don't think that bomb has dropped yet.
Yeah,
and we only have 3 episodes to wrap this shit up.
So I got an idea on how Lady True got her, because we think her and Lori are on opposing sides. If Lori didn't take her there, this is the theory I got. This is going to be pretty solid. Remember the waiver that she had to have her sign to get able to get treatment? And Sister Night was not able to sign this, right? Well, her husband, Angela's husband, comes in. Her husband, they would have or could release custody to her husband. All they had to do was say that I'm taking her to the hospital. And then, because technically he would have medical authority or power of attorney over her. I only know this because I'm a disabled bastard.
Yeah, but why not call him in the first place, though?
Well, he was there. He was there, though. We do know he was there from the flashback. He was trying to get her out of there.
I mean, before that. Wait, like, Lori knew what those pills were doing to her. Well, she was already gone when she brought out that paper.
Yeah, this is within 15 to 30 minutes of her taking them as well. Like, she was trying to get her to sign that before she went out into this trip. And they may have kicked in even quicker. She took so many that, you know, shit starts to soak in and then you get the full effect 45 minutes later. But if you take enough, you're starting to feel it within 15 minutes. And she may have already called her husband, but who knows how far away he is or how long it takes him to get there. And 10, 15 minutes, she could be in that coma.
In the Peteypedia memo, let's refer to the Peteypedia. In the Peteypedia memo, Lori is breaking down like the events that happened during Angela's nostalgia fever dream. And she basically tells Petey that like it's pretty common what she's going through right now. There's a lot of brain sciencey shit I could bore you with, but it doesn't matter. What does she say? Sorry, Abar became her grandpa. Words he spoke 80 years ago came out of her mouth, and I recorded the whole thing. So she's basically, she broke down everything that she said. Abar's grandfather, Will Reeves, was NYPD. We already knew this from the print that we pulled off from her missing car. What we didn't know was that he was Hooded Justice. Funny story, I actually thought Hooded Justice might have been my dad at one point. Oh wait, it's not funny at fucking all.
I was like, what? There's no way.
Yeah, exactly. And let's see where else. I'm trying to cut down to see where. It's about Reeves, currently at large somewhere in Tulsa and in possession of mind-controlled tech. You heard me right. And he used to get Crawford to hang himself. So, sorry, I'm not reading this properly, but I'm trying to get to the relevant parts. That should be an interesting trial, and most definitely not done with whatever the fuck he came here to do. That brings us to Cyclops. Abar spoke this word via Grandpa's memories no less than 50 times. Best I can tell, it's yet another KKK spinoff of which Crawford was most certainly a member. They're the only ones who developed the MCT tech back in the 40s and 50s, so I need you guys to go through the archive and find me everything you can on them. Call it a hunch, but if Cyclops and the 7th Cavalry aren't directly related, they're at least kissing cousins. Abar is in recovery, so I'm going to roll over to Crawford's widow and see if I can shake something loose from her. I guess it's possible she didn't know who her hubby was, but as someone who spent a decade with a guy dressed up like a giant owl, I'm not one to throw stones. Speaking of who, I hope you dipshits remembered to bring him his mouse today. He gets cranky. She's talking about the owl.
Yeah, the owl.
And she also tells him to go check on Looking Glass because she has a feeling. She said, get over to Mirror Guy's house and bring him in. He flipped on Abar too fast, and given what I just heard, I can't rule out that little shit is Calvary.
No, he ain't Calvary, but he might be dead or dying.
Yes. So yeah. Lori's I don't know if she's totally on the opposing side of Angela and Lady True. She doesn't trust anybody right now. She hasn't put all the pieces of the puzzle together, and she just knows everyone is blatantly lying to her, and it's pissing her off, basically. Yeah. Sorry about my shoddy reading.
No, and I think that puts even more into his perspective that right now her and Angela are definitely still at odds, but I see the dynamic duo coming together, and they're probably gonna have what's his name? Damn it, I keep calling him Mirror Mask. That's not his name.
Looking Glass.
Looking Glass.
Mirror Mask.
Mirror Guy.
Man, Mirror Guy. I think that if he survives, those folks rolling up on his house, then he's going to be an ally that they cannot afford to lose.
Well, him and Angela would be able to put the pieces of the puzzle together. They have the two halves of a whole right now.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what they need, and he's going to be sent to the hospital, maybe. She'll hear about what's happened, right? She cares about him, but also wants to ask him why the fuck he betrayed her.
I think he only did it because he really thought that he was protecting her. I think that he was thinking about those kids and her husband.
Well, he didn't have no choice, really, right?
Yeah. I don't think he did it maliciously. He like he said, he didn't have a choice. I believe he did tell that to Angela when she said, what did you do? He thought he was helping, but I think he'll come to find out that there's more pieces to the puzzle that he missed.
Yeah. Well, Dornish, was that your final thoughts? I got lost.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry, my earbuds died. Story of a iPod earbud. But anywho, womp womp. But yeah, that's pretty much like the Peteypedia was kind of giving us all those little blocks to connect. So more breadcrumbs.
Yeah, it was a really good, crazy episode. We're set to find some. I mean, we're gonna see some interesting tech coming up here. We got the Reflectatine. We have the Reflectatine's gonna possibly guard. The Reflectatine's definitely gonna guard against the Mesmerizer.
For sure. You guys think Lube Man is protected?
I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think Lube Man is protected? He's covered in Reflectatine?
Not with what he has on right now, but I think he'd probably get an upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, PD right now at this point, he's into the Reflectatine time. So, but that's what I think. I think the Reflectatine will stop it. I think this will make everyone go crazy and kill each other. We're going to need Dr. Manhattan to save us or someone to save us. even Keen talked about this disaster, that something even bigger and better, or more original than the interdimensional squid extraterrestrial. I know that's a lot of words.
I stand by the theory that clock tower is going to be a huge ass mesmerizer.
Yeah, there you go. That's what's up. AK, any final words?
Like BBM said, these episodes really just keep getting better and better. Like it is a definite slow burn, but it's not slow to the point of where it's annoying. I think a lot there's a lot of action going on and everything, and there's so many different things that are coming together even more now. Like they've got the perfect push and pull formula down for this show and for the characters, and I can't wait to see what they do. We only have 3 episodes left, and this shit's gonna wrap up, and I can't wait to see how they do it.
I can't either. Better words couldn't have been said. AK, you can find her link below, but as she'll always tell you, you'll find her on her homies channels more often than not.
Always. And also, Regina King is every fucking thing on this damn show. They picked the perfect freaking actress, and she is doing the damn thing. I've followed this woman's career since she was a little kid on freaking 227, and she is like a fine wine. She has aged in her skill, in her beauty, and I'm fucking here for all of it.
She's definitely one of Damon's muses. She was fantastic in The Leftovers.
He had to have her.
Fantastic.
Yes.
He said he had to have her. That was the
and young Will Reeves, you guys, was also in The Leftovers. So, big up to him and his acting chops.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw him naked in the fetal position in one of them pods. But, no, I don't know.
Oh, mess.
That shit just popped in my head for some reason. But yes, thank y'all for coming on. It has been a pleasure. This was a good episode. We have went over it at length. I'm going to play some music and say goodbye to everyone. We're going to talk about all these channels. Go check out Cylon John's Bravosi broadcast, Mackenzie L. Burns, and John St. Baptiste. The music makes the people come together. There are more good people out there. Trust me, I'll be putting some more people on the list very, very soon.
One last thing, Johnny. I forgot something, and Chrissy actually reminded me of it. What in the hell fell into the damn yard of that farm?
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
And that is a question to be answered. And put a pin in that. Let's not forget that happened.
What dinosaur turd fell in the yard? This all goes back to the Superman symbolism that we saw in this episode. Don't get to talking.
Literally Lois Clark's farm.
Yep.
Got the outro music playing. A special thank you to my crazy crew really quick, and then we'll get some banter going. Amy True, Anime Lover Nicole, Bobby Catalano, Catherine Cronin, Catherine Harding, Clarissa Thompson, Dark Mother, John St. Baptiste, KCC of House Lorebridge, Katrin C. from My Point of View, Nancy T, Santivia Major, Steve York, and the podcast.com at Family of Podcasts. Yeah, do you guys like the banter? I like the banter. We'll see what's happening with it in a little bit. But we do need to stick a pin in that. What kind of eggs fell from the sky? The Superman symbolism all throughout. Even with the x-ray vision of him seeing the KK suit. Didn't even ask how he found it. It's kind of a little x-ray vision nod. I don't know. Y'all can just say stuff because this is the banter part.
In 3 days we'll know. In 3 days we'll know what Will did.
Will is just a badass motherfucker. I mean, he's sitting there drinking hot ass coffee with no cream, not even worried about third-degree burns in his throat. Literally stuck his hand into the damn boiling water to pull out that egg, and didn't even blink an eye. There's something extra going on with this dude. Granted, he's angry, so he's like the Hulk. He uses his anger in his fights, and that helps keep his strength up. But there's something extra if you can just be around boiling liquids like that touching your skin.
Well, Terrence was asking about what is it that Will did? Then in 3 days, Angela will find out and she'll hate him for it. Like, what could he possibly have done?
After seeing everything that we've seen, It's got to be
What
some
could he have
spray
done?
shit, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Y'all got a badass soundtrack playing over y'all talking right now.
Griffin coming in at the end. And I'm mad because we can't hear the music.
I know, right? It really sucks. I gotta figure that out one day.
Watch.
I always
But-
feel like I should say stuff from Anchorman.
Peace, love, and chicken grease. And as Brick would say, I ate a stick of butter.
Drugs are bad, okay?